Standing with your hands on your hips, also known as arms akimbo, is a very common gesture. The elbows bent outward, visually enlarge the upper body, making it look bigger by taking up more space. Instead, placing the hands a bit higher, at the waistline, means trying to take as little space as possible, and appear smaller, particularly if the elbows tend to sag back. Besides, hands on hips puts the hands halfway with gravity, so that, if needed, we are ready to get our hands to a defensive, or offensive position quickly. It tends to allow our chest to open, and results in deeper, easier breathing. The brain is preparing for our limbs to take action. The arms akimbo is one of those expansive movements considered a power pose. Along with a smile and slightly elevated chin, it's usually judged as a signal of pride. Men in this position will usually have their feet shoulder-width apart. Women will often do this too, but we see more variation in their stances. They might have their weight on one foot, with the other leg slightly bent, or stretched out. Professional models and actors sometimes strike this pose to command attention and look fashionable, and this might be considered the use of a dominance pose in marketing. In fact, the arms akimbo position is more likely when someone is talking to a person they see as having a lower status than their own. When the gesture is open and direct, it indicates confidence. The front of the body is exposed, telling onlookers you're not concerned about any threat. It gives the impression that you're daring others to try something. A person in this pose will usually directly face whomever they're addressing. The gesture is also sometimes used to reassure oneself. Placing your hands on your hips, while trying to tackle complex tasks, is a way of regaining composure. It means you need a moment to acknowledge that the task is challenging, but that you're capable, and have the power, to do it. Fingers pointing forward and thumbs back, shows that the body is prepared to take action. In most cases, this gesture reflects assertiveness. You should expect to see feet wide apart, since it's a more active stance. You should also expect to see a lack of slouching around the shoulder, and strong eye contact. This stance is also called the Superman pose, since action heroes are always ready for action, to defeat the evil guys. Police officers and military often assume this gesture to show that they're ready to take charge, and command authority. This habit of theirs is so common that it's one of the things criminals look for to identify undercover agents. Athletes use this pose to appear dominant and show that they're ready for their opponent. You will also see them sag the shoulders when they have just lost a vital point, or they don't agree with a referee's call or judgment. Sometimes, arms akimbo might still mean that the person is ready for action, but they might just not know what that action is yet. For instance, it may happen to see your friend arguing with someone. You might immediately rush to intervene without actually knowing what's going on. This inquisitiveness may get reflected in your body language. The hands will rest flat on the hips, vertically, and both thumbs will usually point up, or forward. This signals curiosity. People witnessing unexpected or tragic events sometimes assume this posture, but also people watching intently the actions of others, or their work. Irritation and frustration is another popular reason why people put their hands on their hips. In this case, you should expect to see hands clenched in a fist-like position, and probably redness of the face, tight lips, clenching of the jaw, pupil constriction, squinting and close-looking eyebrows. This is a more aggressive stance, and indicates hostility. It's a territorial display that signals to others that you will stand your ground if provoked or attacked. You often see this pose in confrontations, and the digital flexion warns of the propensity, and maybe imminence, of a fight. Even parents often put their fists on their hips when they lecture or reprimand their children, in order to command attention, and as a silent non-verbal warning. Sometimes, a person may rest the back of their hands on their hips, with palms facing out. A gesture like this usually means that someone is annoyed. This pose is more passive than when their palms are resting on their hips, but still, they are probably exasperated about something and might even take action soon. Boredom is a less common meaning. During a dull conversation, you might observe someone looking for an exit with their hands on their hips. This is a passive way to let others know that they want to change the subject. If they maintain a good distance from the group, it can be a sign that they are mentally preparing to leave. A single hand resting on the hip diminishes dominance and aggression somewhat, but typically means that a line is about to be crossed with someone, and they will not allow to pass it over. If you see someone take on this pose while you're talking, this can tell you that they disagree with what you're saying, and this cue is especially useful during negotiations or meetings. On the other hand, this can just be a relaxing position, so be careful in making a judgment. This variation of the gesture may hint that we are uneasy, or maybe have something to hide. If there are 4 fingers in the pockets, we are probably feeling uncomfortable about the situation, unsure of what to do with our hands. When tucked in the pockets are the thumbs. Since thumbs may be indicator of self-worth, what we are hiding is probably ourselves. This can be a subtle way to show boldness, by telling others that we can prevent them to see what we don't want them to see. This posture happens by placing the thumbs in the waistband, belt, or belt loops, with the remaining fingers pointed downwards towards the crotch, framing the genitals. As a gesture that draws attention to the groin area, it is usually performed by men, to display dominance, and show that they are in control and are self-assured, and the big belt buckle may, or may not, apply. Besides being a territorial display, men also use the cowboy gesture around women, to signal health and virility. Because it draws attention to the crotch, it is infrequently used by women. Funny enough, you may even see apes do the same gesture, without belt or trousers, of course. Adopting the hands on hips posture can help you to look confident, especially if you are an introvert. Furthermore, you can use this gesture also to actually feel more confident. Research has found that expansive postures such as this one helps boost testosterone and simultaneously lowers the stress hormone cortisol, changing your own perception. But be careful. There are circumstances when the arms akimbo may increase an already existing tension and make things worse. If you're angry with your spouse, kid, or friend, and catch yourself in this position with your thumbs facing backward, try immediately shifting your thumbs to point forward. You may start to feel more inquisitive, and try to look for an answer, rather than feel argumentative. And if you are witnessing an argument where someone is in a clenched fists position, give them something to hold, to relax their fists. This will help dissipate energy.